I'm gonna trust myself. Oh, I'm gonna love myself. I'm gonna trust myself, love myself, believe in myself like I used to. Oh.
What's up, everybody? Andrew Sully Sullivan here, broadcasting from John Daly's Nashville. And a shout out to John Daly and Good Boy Vodka for making this possible. With me today, my buddy, the notorious Johnny Free. And very, very special guest, a near dear friend to mine that I've known for more than 2 decades now, who's retired from the Navy, fighter pilot, and now doing some great things, starting his own cancer nonprofit called Keep Fucking Going. So, Bill Phillips, Sloth. I had to get that in there.
Yeah, you did, man.
Well, welcome. It's great to see you, and I'm glad you're here, and can't wait to talk about what you got going on. You got a chance to hang out with Johnny, and you're still here, so you know it's a good thing.
Yeah, still got my liver.
Yeah,
Not my rectum, but got my liver. not implying anything, but
Johnny, what time did you get in last night?
Like to.
Like 2.
that's what I tell my mom.
Yeah. Well, let's jump right into this, Bill. Obviously, we go way back, but we started together in the Enterprise Rent-A-Car days, which I think we'll get into at some point.
Mm.
But tell us where you grew up. Tell us about your childhood and how you got to this spot right now.
Yeah, grew up in the Jersey Shore, Navy brat. My dad flew helicopters in the Navy, and always had that kind of just interest in aviation. And finished high school in Montgomery County, Maryland. Went to University of Maryland, so all that kind of East Coast area. Yeah, met this guy working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and mostly really don't tell anybody that. Really haven't for many years.
Oh.
But it's obviously part of my past, part of my history, and met some of the most amazing people working there. But yeah, the Jersey Shore, not far from where they filmed that TV show. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Terrible show, but put us on the map, and love going to the beach, love the water. So Navy just seemed like the right organization to join. Go float on a ship somewhere, go see the world. And yeah, it's best experiences of my life.
A lot of childhood trauma, rooting for the Giants and Yankees, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, some of those 2 Super Bowls that really stand out. Eli Manning, just a great, awesome
Worst
person.
quarterback with a Super Bowl victory.
Yeah,
Let alone 2 Super Bowl victories.
So how did you lose the Jersey accent?
So moving around a little bit. Actually, it was like a farm town that I moved to.
Because I'd never guessed you was from Jersey.
No, and it was early on. They're like, it's just they were just hounding me, which prepared me for knowing people like him and the military culture. We bust each other's balls, and we're really good at it. So it just kind of faded away. It comes out, I guess, every once in a while. Usually yelling at about 2 a.m. with a drink in my hand. But yeah. I don't get tan either that well, so I didn't really blend in there. But
About as well as these testicles back here.
yeah, I
Just blend right in.
I felt their presence.
It's like on your shoulder right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for that, for them to get a little bit closer, and then me get more comfortable.
So tell me about your childhood. Did you play sports? Siblings? How'd you pass the time? How much trouble did you get in? Jail?
Oh man.
What do you got?
Not
give
enough
you a
time to talk
profile.
about the
Yeah.
trouble. Yeah. Jersey kid growing up by the beach, man. So spent a lot of time in the water. I was like a fish out of water. Called me Whitewater Willie as a kid. We'd surfing, bodyboarding, just going to the beach every day. A lot of street hockey. My kids play ice hockey, and my parents were like, it costs a little too much. So
Yeah.
we played every day after school, played soccer, and, just playing outside every day, man. That's what I just remember doing. And moved to Maryland. So I moved in high school, and it was definitely a culture shock, but still played soccer. Finished at Damascus High School in Montgomery County, Maryland. So, yep, a lot of, I'll tell you, man, what really made me question life was the first day of school, and I heard in the morning announcements, it was like, I'm going to add the accent here. We got an FFA meeting after school today. That sounds like Dr. Phil. But I'm like, I leaned over to the girl sitting next to me. I'm like, what the fuck is FFA? She's like, Future Farmers of America. It's like, oh God, this is terrible. They had like the cow pie bingo fundraiser after school. I just want to go back to the beach. I miss Jersey. And then also, Redskins, Commanders, territory. So all those rivalries. And, I didn't like any of the teams that any of my friends did. I actually got punched by, he ended up becoming a really close friend of mine, but at the bus stop, like the first day of school too, because I had a Giants jacket on.
And a punchable face.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah.
It's slappable too. Yeah. So love sports, love just being nowadays. It's, skiing, snowboarding. I love it. I loved it so much. And I know we're going to jump into some of the other cancer related things, but I went water skiing right after radiation. I went snow skiing right after chemotherapy, and I learned how to wake surf right after 2 surgeries. And I just love it. If it's frozen or, water, ice, whatever, I just love being on the water.
Nice. Very motivating too, I'm sure, as we get to talking about that, and probably leads into why you started the nonprofit and what you're doing.
Yeah.
So we'll absolutely cover that. You moved to Maryland in high school, and I moved from Central Mass outside of Boston to Maryland around the same
Your
time.
accent.
Did not lose my accent, but we hadn't met at that point, even though we were high schools right next to each other. And I ended up back from my senior year up in Massachusetts, graduated. What did you go to college for?
Yeah, so I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. So
Still don't?
yeah, still don't.
I don't know about you.
Fuck no. So
I just want to be like Johnny.
yeah, whatever. School of Hard Knocks over there,
Yeah.
or Fort Knox.
Well, let's just go back to the accent real fast before we get into this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting a little better at saying his R's. Yeah.
Barely. I don't know how we
too,
can have an
man.
accent conversation with you when we don't understand what you're saying half the time.
We both need
Right.
translators.
Yeah. I really feel like the Mason-Dixon line right now. I got the South here, the North, and I'm like, you guys both sound like you got gumballs in your mouth. So.
You were talking about him the other day. You're like, "Where Bill at?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "What?
Is there an E
Bill?
there?
I don't know a Bill."
Yeah.
I'm talking about Bill. Oh, Bill.
What about a bar?
Yeah.
Hey, what?
Bar? You know what a bar is?
A bar? Like this?
Like
a bar?
A grizzly bar?
Man,
A bar.
I don't know how you made it this far in life, Johnny.
When I was in Seattle, they'd always want me to say Sprite or Walmart.
Yeah.
Everywhere I'd go, say Walmart. And I'd have to say it like 50 times to them. Like, just say it again. I'm like, okay, I'll say it again. They loved it out there. Like,
bet.
oh, they loved it.
There, it's like park the car in the garage.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Brady. But maybe I'm just getting better at other people.
I think I've got this like amalgamation of because I went to college in the South and then lived in Virginia Beach now for almost 2 decades. And if I have one beer, it's Kai, y'all. Where's the Kai, y'all?
Yeah.
So I have this weird kind of fucked up accent and confuses a lot of people. But I like it that way.
I got to say a quick story about somebody with a Southern accent. I was flying with an instructor, and he's like, "Tell towers cows on the runway." And I was like, "What? There's no cows out there. What are you talking about?" "No, cows." I'm like, "There are no cows out there." I was so confused. I'm like a brand new student. And he's like, gets on, he's like, "There's coyotes." It was coyotes. And I was like, so yeah, the language thing gets me every time. But
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Yep. All right. So
I forget, where we at?
So-
you don't know what you want to do as an adult, but you went to college anyway.
Yeah,
Sounds
criminal
really
justice
familiar.
major, so
Okay.
party major, and graduated from University of Maryland. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I actually, was looking at law enforcement at one point, and I got turned down by the Maryland State Police almost immediately because I was a little honest of some of my past indiscretions, and so I'm like, done being honest. But I got hired by Enterprise Rent-A-Car initially to investigate rental car fraud.
Mhm.
So they're self-insured, and there's a lot of crazy shit that people do with rental cars. So I was like, this sounds fun. But they put you in an office, and you got to learn the business. And well, that's where we met.
Yeah, ironically, we have a mutual friend, Edwin, who was supposed to be here and stood us up. But
Yeah.
Edwin I've known since high school. We grew up together, played football together, and kept in touch even when I went back to Massachusetts and graduated and went to North Carolina for college. But I ended up back in that Maryland area, and Edwin had just been hired by Enterprise Rent-A-Car as well. And he said, "Hey, man, you got to come do it." I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had dropped out of college and was kind of a piece of shit at the time. And I
At the time.
applied. Yeah, not now. No, that I lost that. But yeah, so I got a job with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I had no idea what it was, but Edwin, being the salesman that he was, sold me. Didn't tell me that he got a $500 bonus for bringing someone in and getting them hired.
Oh, that's snake.
And I'm like, yeah, well, that's why he talked it up.
Sounds right.
But I will say, Enterprise, if you're listening, one of the best management trainee programs that I've heard of or seen. I learned so much about running a business that has helped me now as I run 2 businesses, and I still use some of the stuff I learned back then. The downside or upside, depending on your point of view, is you got about every just graduated out of college dirtbag working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car who just wants to party and not work. And being able to balance that work-life relationship was somewhat stressful, but a lot of fun. So we met, and I don't know if you want to tell the story or if I can tell the story about how we met. How I hated you before I had even met you.
Yeah.
It is funny that, and I told you this, Johnny, that him, I, and our friend Edwin, we all right around 9/11 were like, nope, we need something else. And he went and became a Navy pilot. I went and became a Navy SEAL, and our third friend Edwin went and became a 3-letter agency. But we all ended up downrange doing our piece to help the war effort against radical Islam terrorism. So weird story coming from Enterprise Rent-A-Car to being on a battlefield within a couple of years, and then making a career out of it, and ended up doing these things that we're doing now. So
And Bill was the only one that got fired the day he joined the Navy, right?
Oh yeah. No, they let me keep my it was my 2 weeks notice was we're sending you home right now. So they had heard, they kind of knew that I had one foot out the door. I had gotten in a little bit of trouble there. Yeah, just a little bit. And so, but yeah, so you got to share the same sentiment that, they throw this 21-year-old kid into an office. I'm running an office. We're making good money, getting bonuses. But I just had this feeling like, I wanted to be more connected to something that I was doing. And this was like just another phase that I was looking at, like, all right, what am I going to do? This is fun. It was too much fun. I think I spent most of my career working there on driving probation from speeding tickets or whatnot. And yeah, so it's kind of hard when you're running a rental car office and you can't drive your own cars. So did anyway, and that's another story. But standing there in the DC area on 9/11, and there's helicopters flying over, the country's under attack, and it's like, it was just like burning inside me. I was like, I need to do something different. I literally went to the recruiter the next day. And yeah, I was like, you want to take the test? So a year later, I was in officer candidate school, and our drill instructors who, this guy's like a 5-foot Marine who seemed like a giant, when you first start, but it was the first time on the first anniversary of 9/11 where he's like, hey, look, I just want to thank all of you for being here, because clearly you stepped up to the call and, and came here to serve your country. So, and we're all like, man, this guy's like, he's a human. He's not trying to kill us right now. He did right after, but, yeah, just, like that was an opportunity. And, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity for the Navy to, give me the chance to fly and get, a totally different career, and grateful for what I learned at Enterprise, because I certainly use a lot of those management kind of, skills and just techniques and things that we learned today.
It's funny, I tell people this now, and I speak a lot on leadership, and I talk about leadership, being in high performing teams, being at development group for so long.
Yep.
One of the best leaders I ever had was you remember Sean? He was one of my managers at Enterprise.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from him about leadership in a mundane job, we'll call it, of renting cars that I took with me and used at SEAL Team 6, right? And, a good leader is a good leader regardless of what the profession is that they're in. Yeah. And he was one of the best. There's a lot of attributes: his patience, his temperament, his demeanor, the way he could talk to anybody in any situation calmly and teach you when you just didn't understand. It was really, really cool. And,
yeah, that's a high stress environment
at times.
7 in the morning when somebody just crashed their car. They need to get to work. Their insurance company promised them something, and then like the car's not there or something, right? It's just, you're just dealing with this, people, right? Customers and their issues, and then trying to run a business, trying to work with other offices to get cars and move around. So, you had your team, but then you had the broader like area team. It was just, It was just, it was fun, you know, it was high stress. And I feel like I thrive in those environments. It kind of brings the best out of us.
Absolutely.
And it certainly did for me.
We we met. I was at a different office, and I was working with someone you were at the time dating,
Yeah.
and we won't mention any names. But she did not like you. Well, we'll say it that way. At that
No.
time, you guys were on again, off again. I think you were off again. And I felt so bad for this woman because every day I'd come to work, you know, we were the enterprise lifestyle. You work from 7:30 to 9:30 when people are going to work and dropping off their cars at body shops or dealers. And then you do nothing until about 4:30 in the evening till 6:30. And so the rest of the day, you're just shooting the shit with your friends. And you work with your friends. The day's over, you go do a happy hour.
Yeah.
And then you repeat the next day. And it's like that for pretty much the entire time you're there, which it's a continuation of the college lifestyle, but now you're getting a paycheck and you don't have to go to class. So I would come in and listen to her bitch about this dude that she was dating who was this giant asshole and treated her horribly and tell me these stories. I'm like, man, this guy, if I ever see this fucking dude, I swear to God. And we get transferred every time you get promoted, you go to a different office. And sure enough, I get sent to his office and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be bad. Within 5 minutes, we were best friends. I couldn't even remember that chick's and then you realize, all right, well, maybe there's two sides to this story. And sure enough, then you guys got back together and you know, you see the relationship firsthand and you realize that everybody has a perspective and thoughts on how things should be or shouldn't be. And
Three sides to every story, right?
sides,
He says
exactly
and
right.
the truth somewhere in there.
all right, here's a very serious question.
Yeah. All right, gotta go.
Yeah. Do you have more flight time in a jet or a rental car?
Yeah, for a while, the rental car was in a distant lead. That was one of the other, you know, bonding moments here where I realized this guy liked to be in the air as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's like that joke, what's the fastest car in the world in reverse is a rental car. And, you know, we got to drive all different kinds. And we had a ramp behind our office where you have the end of this long road. It's like an industrial park and it goes into a parking lot. And you need to hit this ramp doing about, you know, less than 5 miles an hour because you could seriously damage the vehicle or maybe the passengers. So we would usually hit it at about 75 or 85 miles an hour. And
This is where we lose Enterprise as a sponsor, by the way.
Yeah. They were like,
you did to the rental cars.
oh, the training. Yeah, we are good at that. And fucking up your cars.
The best was when we get a new employee
Yeah.
and you take them off the jump without telling them you were taking them off the jump.
See their eyes get all big the closer you get to it. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking almost 100 feet in the air, not up, but distance.
Yeah.
You're going far. If you have the right vehicle, the Dakotas were the
Dodge
best.
Dakota, oh,
Maybe the Dodge trucks were best, but we also
Yep.
did it in Geo Metros.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't want
Panel
to
van,
leave any
surprisingly
cars out.
aerodynamic. Who would have thought?
The best, yeah, I took a new guy who actually had just gotten out of the Navy. And, you know, first day showing him around and like, this is going to be fun. So we're getting closer to this ramp and I'm accelerating. And he sees it coming and his eyes got all big, you know, he's grabbing the oh shit handle. And like this van, we launch it. And it was almost like Dukes of Hazzard where like the car leans a little bit. And it was just like, I mean, I felt like you could play the whole Jeopardy song. We were airborne for so long. And then it just came down and it bounced. And like, he's just holding on, trying not to get thrown from the vehicle. If you really wanted to fuck with somebody, you'd undo their seatbelt right before. And no casualties, a few oil pans, probably some, you know, an engine mount or two, but oh yeah.
It's like we were living the military lifestyle and we hadn't even joined the military yet.
Now I know why Talladega Boulevard wasn't no big deal to you.
Right?
Ah,
Right? Oh,
they-
man.
That is chump change over there. Right?
You know, there's a lot of similarities in that you have this small, tight-knit culture and you go out and you work together and you have fun together and you bond. And we did that in that environment. And we talk about the guys we worked with, we still see them at times and some great people. And you just kind of share in, you know, different kind of misery, but the misery of being in that, we would call it a little bit of a mundane job, but you know, you can make a lot of money doing it if you want to. And it just happened for us that 9/11 came around and, you know, I think about this often, I'm sure you do because it changed your life, but a lot of people in our generation, like you and I, lives forever changed because of those events. So not just the people who lost family, lost friends, loved ones, or were involved, the first responders involved in events, but all the people who chose to step up in whatever way to be a part of the solution. And it's still changing lives, and it will forever change lives. So
Yeah.
for me, that was what motivated me to join. And again, 9/12, I was trying to find a recruiter and get on the first train out of Dodge to be on the front lines. And you did the same thing. Edward did the same thing. So here we are.
Yeah, I just the best, one of those some of those little moments that kind of stick of like early on. So I remember telling you, hey, I'm gonna do this. I talked to the recruiter. He's like, I did too, man. And I'm like, all right, let's go work out together. And I forget what that we were working out quite a bit.
Yeah.
And our first run, I had been running for a while, and I'm like, yeah, this could be awesome, in good shape. You're like, I haven't run in a while, but you were lifting and stuff. So I'm like, oh, cool, I'll be able to keep up with him. In like the first like 5 seconds, my shoe gets caught in my shoelace. I fall on my face, and he's gone, man. And then like I'm just like trying to hold on, keep up. I'm like, all right. Then we're doing a lot of like the underwater breathing stuff because you're getting ready, holding our breath because you're, you wanted to go to Buds, and I was like, yep, I'm probably not going to do that. So that's cool. Aviation works for me, but we met a lot, worked out, got in great shape, and it was cool. It was just like that, like a brotherhood, like early on, like it's you're with somebody else that kind of felt that same like call. I'm gonna go do something, and it wasn't even about. I just can't explain it. Like I feel blessed that I had that feeling. It took a lot of grit to work in an environment like Enterprise, and I feel like a lot of that grit it continues today. I use it for my nonprofit. Use it. I went through cancer treatment. I use it in the military, and I feel like blessed to have this, not like an auxiliary power unit like this guy has, where he, fires up that second motor, but I got it when I need it, and you need that, and that was that, that extra like drive, the energy that really, I always had it, but I learned how to use it for good, Enterprise and then through the Navy.
So tell us about the pipeline from joining the Navy, OCS, getting to flight school, and then checking in your first squadron.
Yeah, man. So OCS was for me. It was down in Pensacola, Florida, and then got about 3 months off, waiting to class up for aviation pre-indoctrination, and so right in it there, flight school, and then started my career out in Whidbey Island, Washington. That's where I spent most of my career. So flying the EA-6B Prowler and then the EA-18G Growler after that. So airborne electronic attack. And Whidbey Island's beautiful. You're stationed out in Washington State. And for an East Coast person, at first I was devastated because the dating life wasn't too. I was still single, and it was a little rough out there. But the weather, the Pacific Northwest, is just amazing. So really got into like outdoor sports. The flying's amazing. They capture it pretty well in the new Top Gun movie. The low levels out there, just flying through the Cascade Mountains. It's just incredible.
Speaking of that,
yeah.
Everybody always, oh, how'd you like living in the rain? I'm like, it don't rain, it drizzles.
Yeah.
We get more rainfall a year in Georgia than they do in Seattle.
Yep.
And so
Gray and overcast.
yeah, but it's only like that like 3 months out of
It's
the
only
year.
like that when you're awake.
Yeah.
Because then it's nighttime and you can't.
So I fucked up and lived in what they call the convergence zone. So Whidbey Island especially, it's overcast, but as the clouds go around the Olympic Mountains, they kind of like reform on the other side of the island, and so you get a lot of overcast. But where I got was like I got all the rain. It did rain there, a little bit south of the island, but
The weather patterns are based on the mountains there, so the mountains back everything up, and then they try to move around. It's wild. But the best thing was waking up every morning and get to see Mount Rainier. I love that.
yeah, oh, it's beautiful.
Man, that was awesome.
Yeah, and then just going, if it rained there or it was overcast, usually like in the wintertime, they did get some rain. It was raining. We'd go to the mountain, go skiing. So there are times where I would trade, early in flight training out there, we do a lot of simulators, and the newer students got the night simulators. So we go all the way up until like 10 p.m. So I would trade with people so I can go skiing all day, show up at the parking lot, change into my flight suit, and then go in the simulator. I remember one of the real early ones, I fell asleep in there because like the powder was fucking epic. And I was like,
Priorities.
oh yeah. And then also not too long after that, I kind of made a name for myself because went up to Whistler Blackcomb up in British Columbia, and it was a sheet of ice. And I was like, this sucks. I've been wanting to, snowboard. I was snowboarding at the time. and yeah, broke my arm.
Mm.
So come back and had to go through the early part of flight school with a full right-handed thumb cast, and I'm right-handed. And early on, you're writing your emergency procedures out, so it's a written test. And I was like writing left-handed, looked like a third grader, kindergartner. And but hey, I made it, right? Fake it till you make it. So yeah, I got through. Yeah, just kind of more the flying stuff. Like, got to go. This is what I wanted to do, right? It took a couple of years, flight school, and then we call it the FRS Fleet Replacement Squadron, where you actually get to your fleet. It's like 3-4 years before you're finally in the shit.
Yeah.
And my first deployment was to Japan, which was more like, I'm like, oh man, this is like a party deployment, right? I didn't do a real combat deployment until about a year after that. Was in Iraq. And then just kind of like, it was great. I got to hop around. I did some carrier stuff, and then some expeditionary stuff where we're working with the Air Force squadrons. And yeah, just got to go. So did the standard desert, combat stuff, and then got to go down to South America, went to Japan a couple times. So really got to see, all different parts of the world. So I feel blessed. It was awesome. And, it's great. But then as you're, did an instructor tour, and you realize like this ages you pretty quick, and like seeing the younger, aviators coming up, and they're just smarter, faster. Like, it's like, okay, you're kind of passing the torch. So just to, kind of wrap up with the career stuff, after several years of flying, I did spend the last 5 years of my career at the Pentagon. So as part of I wanted to get in the acquisition side of things, and basically buying the stuff that the warfighters are using now. Weapons, upgrades, new platforms. So it's pretty cool to see that side. Dealing with the budget, not so much fun, but getting into the business side of it too. Again, it's all these things, that we're just kind of taking and learning how I can run my organization and using those skills. And so, yeah, not as fun at the Pentagon. Still prefer the cockpit, but that's all right.
So what was your first time landing on an aircraft carrier like?
Well, we call it the pucker factor, where it's so nerve-wracking that you couldn't squeeze out a fart if you tried. You're just all puckered up. But the scariest is looking at it at night, where it's like a little spot, like a little light, like a tiny little light in the middle of a big black ocean. Those low moonlight nights where there's just the visibility is very low. Yeah, that's scary. And that's the part I don't miss. But those day, when you're training students, you go out, we call them a bag X, you go out, the instructors get to go fly, and it's beautiful weather, and just getting to go fly in the pattern and, bag a bunch of traps is something where I'm like, wow, they pay us to do this. That's incredible. My favorite place to go train was down off the coast of San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have flown into Mexican airspace once or twice, or at least got a warning. But
So how fast does that slide get you guys going for takeoff?
you want to 0 to about 140-ish knots.
On that slide helps you do
Yeah,
that?
it's a catapult. So you're basically just getting launched and thrown off the ship. And then, so at full weight, if you're full like battle rattle, combat loadout, full gas, it's pretty violent. And I remember the first, you kind of like almost gray, me, it's just like a very like, okay, you got to flex your, keep the blood from rushing down. And then a trap is, the same thing. You're landing, you're dropping a hook and catching a cable, and you're stopping almost immediately. And it's, it's a pretty violent, force on the body. And yeah, it's not for everybody, but, part of the experience. And then also, then you get to go down with 5,000 of your other friends on this floating city out in the middle of the ocean. That's the part where, wasn't as excited to do, but, the
recruiters don't tell you that?
No,
Yeah.
no. And then you get this thing called a port call. And, I think it might have been called a Liberty Risk once or twice. And, yeah.
Still. Well, what's it?
There's a lot of stories there.
Yeah, a ton of stories. We'll keep those.
Some things never
We'll
change.
keep those for after.
Yeah.
So as we lead into the next chapter of your life, I get asked a lot about adversity. And obviously I do some things on the nonprofit side that deal directly with adversity and pediatric cancer at One Summit. But tell me, did you grow up in a culture that you felt supported and able to overcome adversity in your life? Or was this something that you learned in the Navy? Did the Navy teach you this? Did your job teach you this? Being a pilot, landing on aircraft carriers, whatever it might be. And then obviously you see the progression, how that leads into, the news you got that would change your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, it was everything kind of led to the next thing. Like, I didn't know that I'd be able to handle cancer the way I did and want to like turn around and help people. And, I didn't know it on 9/11 that like, instead of like, it's like running away from the fire, I wanted to run into it. And, I guess some of this, how to handle adversity kind of goes back, to my dad. So he, I said he flew helicopters, went to the Naval Academy, and he, on his first deployment, his wife left him, took the kid. So I'm the product of his second marriage. So my mom was the commanding officer's wife's sister. So like, good on him. He was the junior officer that went in and ended up marrying the CO's wife's sister. But he, not to get too far off topic there, but he had that, right? So he dealt with that. And then even going back as a young kid, my grandfather was in World War II and had, now we know, as a traumatic brain injury. So survived it, but went through the VA. They were living out in California, went through the VA and ended up spending, got committed for like 2 years in a treatment facility for mental health and alcoholism. And it forced my dad to grow up on the streets of Baltimore, at times homeless. So, like, I was like, okay. And then also I called him Commander Phillips when I was a kid because I was a dick. And, like, he's like, when you get mad at me, but I just learned that like, okay, we're built to do hard things. Like this guy went through different, challenges, right? And it's just something like, as we meet people, I look at like even leaders, right? You brought up Sean, and there's other commanding officers. There's people that you just kind of take little bits and pieces of information from. And I just use that to help me get through, my own challenges, which was, in the last few years now of my life, I've, worked through a divorce, a cancer diagnosis, retiring from the Navy, moving, like all these things that are by themselves are some of the most stressful things you can go through in your life. And I'm like, I'm going to package it all together. And I had the right people come in my life at the right time, and having close friends you've known for a long time that you can lean on. You've visited me. We hung out a bunch, man, while I was in treatment. So you just take that and you realize, like, things don't happen to us, they happen for us. And what can I learn here? Sometimes I had to be reminded of that, but I use that to, to just keep effing going, right? Just to, not to, to bring it in there, but that's the whole mindset that developed. So I just had those pieces, and I brought them together to form basically like the game plan, or like the blueprint for how I was going to get through this.
So I like that saying.
Talk to me about getting diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And how you felt in the moment, and your progression through treatment to recovery and remission, and then we'll go into KFG Project.
Yeah. So everybody has that you have cancer moment, that's been diagnosed. So mine was different. So I had some symptoms, and so I had stage 3 colorectal cancer was my diagnosis. And I didn't want to say anything because as an aviator, you get flight pay. And I was getting close to retire. I was approved to retire, but I was nervous about speaking up because in the past I had had an injury. And if you're not flying for a year, you lose your flight pay. Yeah. So I'm like, I just want to get through this whole, thing. And then I get to a year prior to retirement. I tell my doctor, and, it's like I was 45, no history of colorectal cancer in my family. I was just considered low risk, pretty healthy human. So, I got it. They were like, oh, it's probably hemorrhoids. I'm like, okay. So I had to wait. Ended up being 5 months before I get a colonoscopy. So go get the colonoscopy. And, the gastro doc was just like, look, all signs point to this being colon cancer. We don't diagnose it officially until we get all the pathology, the imaging, and all, and they have a tumor board. So I had to wait. It wasn't like a you have cancer like moment. It was, hey, you have something that's nasty inside of you. It's a large tumor, and we have to have this board. So why am I saying that? Because for 2 weeks I sat around my house wondering if I was going to die. So, how our thoughts kind of tend to go towards the negative side of things. And I was in a marriage that wasn't working. So I'm already in a bad place. And then I had, in that period, I had a close friend pass away. And so it was just like, what the hell is going on? And yeah, I hit some really, really, really low moments. And you know, is this something that I have to do something to not get to this again? So eventually I get the call, you know, you have cancer and you're starting radiation right away. And you know, but it wasn't like the, you know, you have cancer moment. It was just, you know, that kind of like, okay, sit here for 2 weeks not knowing how aggressive it is. So that was the scariest part.
How long were you in treatment?
Ended up being about a year and a half from diagnosis to, you know, being, so I had radiation for 6 weeks. That's every day going in and getting zapped. And month off, then I did chemo. About 2 months off from there, and then I had it's called a LAR, low anterior resection surgery, where I just tell people like I got a new plumbing configuration. So they took a lot out, and yeah. And so yes, it affects me every day of my life now. And then I had an ostomy bag for 6 months. So that wasn't fun, but got that reversed. And then that started the whole thing of like, all right, now you're fully using the plumbing you have left. And that right there was some of the hardest moments of my life. Like, you know, you can imagine, again, new plumbing, colorectal cancer, and diapers. So it was not fun. And I just learned like I had to, and then the, you know, the relationship stuff. So it's really like, to get through something difficult, it's the 6 inches between your ears. That's the muscle. That's what needs the most treatment. And as I learned that, like, that's where everything improved.
Well, I'm glad you're fully in remission.
Yeah.
We got our boy back, and then I appreciate all you did and all you've gone through. Talk to me about KFG Project.
Yeah. So while I was in treatment, I had a close friend, a former squadron mate, who was like, hey, come out to the World Series. It's and then it was in Arizona. And I was like, no way, man. I just had like my 5th infusion. I was knocked out. And I couldn't sleep that night. So I just was like, something's telling me I got to go. I got to go out there. So yeah, cross-country flight on chemo, with chemo pills. I popped a couple pills at 30,000 feet on the way out there, and felt like shit. Get to the game, beautiful weather, great energy. Like, it was just, it was the best I had felt in a long time. And then the next morning, he's like, we're gonna go meet my buddy. He's a breathing guy. He works with our student athletes. So I was like, okay, whatever that means. Sure, I'll go meet anybody. Meet this guy, and we just hit it off. He's a breathwork facilitator and a life coach for a bunch of professional athletes and college students. So he just kind of like, all right, you've had this. I had just had a shoulder surgery too. Like, and everything he said started to make sense. I had a therapist at Walter Reed. It was the hospital I got treated at, and she was amazing. But this coach just had a way of like helping me, you know, realize like it's all in here, and I need to work on the relationship with myself first. And as soon as I started doing that, things got better. Mm-hmm. And so worked with him, and throughout treatment, I was like, all right, got into treatment. I love the coaching so much that I took a program myself and learned to become a life coach, a certified life coach, ICF, International Coaching Federation. So I talked to him. I was like, man, I want to give this back. So we, and my therapist, a few others, started this, the KFG Project. It just seemed like the ideal name, right? You're trying to help people keep fucking going and be blunt about it through life coaching, right? So it's a little bit more of the, you know, can be a little bit more woo, but it is a non-clinical approach to mental health. And people, it's not just patients, right? It's caregivers too. So you think of like, and just, you know, Walter Reed was where I was treated at. So think of like a young military member who's got a wife who is worried, like, is this guy going to die of cancer? And, you know, she has her stress too. So I'm like, we need to help them as well, because there's a lot of data out there, studies, and really just kind of common knowledge that knows, like, if you improve your quality of life, you're going to improve your treatment outcomes. So my goal was to just help them improve their quality of life. So part of, you know, keep fucking going is all these different modalities that we have access to. We just don't really know enough about them. We're not really taught in the military about it. I didn't know anything about breath work. So breath work, meditation, yoga, you know, healthy eating, you know, connecting to things, you know, personal connections, friendships, spiritual connections, whatever it is. We're just trying to meet them where they're at and provide this information to them. So having Rick Moschel, who is my coach, and be a part of this, and then my therapist at Walter Reed, Elena, she's a board member. So I have the clinical people, clinicians that are saying, no, this really works. I've seen it firsthand, and just giving them all that and giving them the support that they may or may not be getting. It doesn't replace any treatment or any care that they get. It's more of a companion through the process, but we're gonna stick with you all the way through to survivorship. And that's one other thing we kind of forget about. It's not just about like, okay, I beat cancer. I've been clear for a year and a half now. It's survivorship, right? So you get 5 years of scans. Every 6 months I'm going in there. Is it back? I gotta get the imagery, go meet with the oncologist, and that's stressful. They call it scanxiety. So we're working with them through that too. And because of the coaching support that I've gotten, like I sleep the night before, I'm not freaking out. And so that's when I say it's a blueprint for everything that helped me. That's really what it is. It's giving people what worked for me, and it seems to be working for a lot of other people.
It's great. As you explore these modalities and expand your knowledge on the treatment and the processes that you're working through KFG, what is something that you wish you had as a patient that you now provide to these people that you're mentoring?
It's so, man, it's the coaching, right? It is because I went through radiation, and I wasn't just, a friend that died early on in treatment. Like I lost other people that I knew to cancer. And I'm like, it's just, and you just feel like I didn't have that connection. I didn't have a way. I had to wait, a couple weeks to go talk to my therapist. And then by then I had so much shit that built up that, it wasn't enough time. So really it's having access to a way to just get the information through you and not hold on to it. So probably the number one thing now, and it was a coaching app, a journal app. So I had an app that I could just type in whatever was pissing me off, and then it's an AI response. So I'm like essentially working with this, and then it gives you great feedback. It helps get you in a better place, and then I would share it with my therapist or share it with my coach. So having that, and what is that? It's just it's not holding on to shit. So issues with the colon are usually it can be, right. There's different ways of looking at medicine, but it's your body holding on to things and not letting go. So it could be a tumor that manifests from this mental issue that you're having because for me, I was holding on to a marriage and didn't want to let it go. It got kids, and my body's trying to tell me something. So all this stuff, through the coaching is how I learned this. And having that connection, we're social beings. We want to have that connection, and just having somebody to walk through this journey with you. That I always felt like I was a burden on my friends. I didn't want to like open up too much and tell them like really what was going through my mind. But having maybe different people I could tell different things to, and that like amalgamation of that was the support that I needed. So again, like it's really a blend of the coaching and that app of just like not holding on to thing and just getting it out.
Coming from the cockpit and then the Pentagon to running your own nonprofit, what have been the learning lessons? What's been the hardest part about starting that business and being successful?
Yes, I mentioned grit earlier. It's, this is my, kind of my dream and my blueprint. So it's remembering like it's all volunteers that are helping us right now get this thing off the ground. So, realizing like, it's going to take a little bit more from me to get this thing going. It's my story. And also, like, I didn't want to share all this stuff. Like, I was in treatment, like, I don't want to tell everybody about all the, the butt cancer problems and stuff. And then, like, I see a lot of friends now just on the veteran side, about a year after, it's obviously the mental health crisis in the veteran community is well documented. And I was seeing suicides. So I just, that all of that there again kind of fuels and goes in. I'll jump back to the coaching. You see the veteran suicide rate is just too high. And so starting this coaching organization was also to address that. But all of that takes me remembering like I have to keep fucking going, right? I still am a father. I've got 3 kids. I'm still working. So it's how do I balance the time and make the best version of myself because it's my energy, right? It's my story. And if I'm not truly authentic to that, and if I get burned out, then I don't have the energy to keep this going. So I have to take care of myself first. I think I answered it.
Yeah,
Today.
no, I did. So how can people help you out?
Yeah, so what we need now, it's just like any nonprofit. We got to fundraise, we got to raise money, and but also raise awareness. So go to the website, kfgproject.org, and we have a donate button. Any amount helps. You're donating to help, a patient or a caregiver have someone to talk to and just learn information. We have a program that's a year long that walks them through, introducing them to coaching, and then as they get through it, they can get connected with any of our coaches, because we have coaches they got a meditation coach, got a breathwork facilitator, yoga instructors. Like, we have people that do other things besides coaching, and they have offered their services there. So, and then it's really like the flight school approach. You got ground school, and then you're working through intermediate, and then so primary, intermediate, and then advanced. And advanced is like, we're preparing you for that solo flight of life, where you've learned all these things that we've taught you, and now you're going off, and hopefully maybe one of them are like me and they want to come back and coach someday. But to do that, we need resources, and that's funding. It's a business, it's a startup,
Right.
so there's a lot of cost to that. And we're also bringing an app in. We partnered with, again, in this network of people. Because of cancer, I've met a lot of amazing people, and have a retired NHL player we're working with to be able to provide an app. He's providing it for youth athletes, and we're going to basically change just tweak a few things and offer it to patients so that they have the same, again, it's that blueprint, right? I was able to connect, and we want to offer the same thing to them, but all that costs money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a significant shortfall in federal funding that should be there for this. And I can speak from my community, specifically the SEALs. And as someone who's had a brain tumor that I had to have removed, the level of brain cancer in our community, the SEAL teams, is abnormally high.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, the Pentagon, the government, isn't looking at it in a way that's trying to fix the problem, but more in a way that's, all right, well, let's just sweep it under the rug and ignore it, and it'll go away, especially now that we're not actively in combat. But in your community as well, and you maybe talk to this a little bit, you have a abnormally high amount of colon cancer and testicular cancer, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, there's a bunch. So we just got work with another organization called MOC, Military Aviator Coalition for Health, and we just got the ACEs Act passed, and that went through the House, Senate, signed by the president just in September. And it's okay. We know the numbers aren't lying. Cancer rates are going up. A lot of people just like me, unfortunately, that spend time in the cockpit. And I look at it as like, okay, we need to figure out the root cause. Sure. And also, because if one of my kids wants to fly someday, right now I'm like, I don't know. I think we need to figure out this cancer thing first. And, we're seeing it across the military in different communities. So we got this legislation passed, but there's a lot more work to be done.
Right.
And, for us, KFG is obviously my story, but this MOC thing is also like, kind of like the legacy, right? There's other work that needs to be done. And I know the SEAL community's got a lot, right, like you mentioned. So all these communities, raising awareness and doing the right thing. And, we've got to do something to change it.
Absolutely. And we're trying. I think raising awareness, my nonprofit as well, is you have to have people understand that there's actually a problem. And then we tell them, well, here's how we're going to fix it, and come support. And I like that you're able to separate yourself. There are a lot of cancer nonprofits out there, all doing great things. And I think you have separated yourself specifically with your background and your support for this country as an aviator. Do I sound cool when I say aviator, or is it just you?
Anything you say with that fucking guy, like boss, whatever.
I'm a naval aviator.
Aviators, get my aviator glasses, and you got those. No, dude, it's like, so it's also like, it's aviator, right? That's just part of the story, right? That's how I got here. But like, you help first responders, right? You are helping train police with your. Oh, also, I shadowed you for like the first year-ish. Went to some of your events, and I was like, oh, this guy can do it. Anybody? But I was like, I learned a lot, dude. I was just taking notes. I the first one I went to, I still had a bag, like ostomy bag, and like
we knew.
Yeah, poured me anyway. Well, yeah. So it was awesome, and that's the network, right? I'm learning
Yeah.
from you. So also this KFG thing, it's not just for military, it's emergency responders, it's cops, firefighters, because we all know, going back to 9/11, you know, the firefighter camps, people that were working at Ground Zero, but also because of the suicide rate being incredibly high, and police and firefighters is, you know, high stress, you know, civil servant position, you know, professions, you know, they're not immune to this too. So, you know, we help them too. It's not just
Great.
military. And if it could, you know, so obviously the cancer has one, you know, kind of treatment plan that we offer, but where the, you know, first responders, other military, like veteran organizations, like just want to introduce you to coaching. You know, try it out. And if it's something that works for you, like, you know, what we can offer this to, there's other organizations that we're talking to. And another, so just the young adult population in general is being, the cancer rates are going up, especially colon cancer. I mean, obviously track that. And it's just like, I feel like I can't read an article nowadays without seeing something that says cancer rates are going up in young adults. So we're supporting them too.
Well, love to hear it. Love what you're doing. You have an audience right now. What do you want to get out there? We haven't asked you specifically. Anything you want to say to the fans watching right now that are going to help you out? The floor is yours.
Thanks, man. Thank you guys, dude, for this opportunity, and love you both. This is, you know, we're built to do hard things, and things don't happen to us; they happen for us. So, how do you learn that? Right? It's easier said than done, but that's where this coaching thing can help. You know, that muscle, right? That 6 inches between your ears, to help that. That's what needs to be treated. You can pump all the chemo in your body, but if you're not healthy up here, don't expect it to work, or you're not going to have as good of a result, or it's probably going to come back. Because I watch these patients, not all of them, right? But I've met some fellow patients that just go back to the way they lived their life before they were diagnosed, and then they get a recurrence, and it's hard to see. So I need help to spread the word, and I need to raise money to make our services more available. We partnered with a coaching organization, Born to Coach Training Academy. So I have a funnel of new coaches that have access, that I know how well they were trained, because I did the same program. And I want to bring, I call it like the peanut butter meets the chocolate moment. I've got the coaches, and I have people that need to be coached, and I just want to bring them together. But to do that, got to get you go to the website, kfgproject.org. Make a donation, anything you can. And there's a volunteer form if you want to offer something. I've had people that have just emailed us because they want to offer, you know, whatever it is. I have clinicians that have offered to help us out. So we could use all of it. And just, you know, go to the website, info@kfgproject.org. That'll hit us up on the board. You send me an email. I'd love to talk to you and, you know, see how you can help. But please, yeah, help us spread the word.
Love it. What you got, Johnny?
All I know is you're a wild man.
Yeah, Johnny come lately over here called me a wild man. I think I need. There's still a couple of days left here in
The
town.
thought of
so.
you two in your prime together, man, it's
He's the only one that's hanging with me the whole time so far.
Yeah, we did.
make
You
up for
know.
lost time.
Yeah.
Then we bought the country moonshine. He was the first one to take a half a swig of it, and I'm like,
There you go.
nah, man.
You know, YOLO.
He earned it.
Yeah. It's an honor, man.
You too, man.
You've a
appreciate
great friend immediately, and
Thank you
this
for everything
guy.
you're doing to help people out. And you know, we have a lot of choices in retirement, and not a lot of people choose the nonprofit world, right? So it's a mission. We're service driven, and we want to help. And for me, it's mental health, my own mental health, being able to do what I do. And I know it's the same for you because we've had these conversations.
Yep.
So thank you for what you do, and for Johnny for setting us up. So to all y'all out there, please, KFG Project, go check out his stuff. Donate. Check him out on social media. Say hello. Thank you to John Daly and John Daly's Nashville and all the staff here for making this possible, and Good Boy Vodka. So we had a great time, Johnny.
Set of nuts back there too.
Keith, hopefully I did a good job filling your shoes. 25/8 podcast. Watch. The links for Bill will be at the bottom.
Yep.
Y'all have a good one.
I'm gonna trust myself. Oh, I'm gonna love myself. I'm gonna trust